So I was trying to look for some positive in this, but it just doesn't seem like there is much to be excited about with this bit of announcement. Hopefully, it's something that can change before too soon. But listen, what in the world is Microsoft going to do? Like, listen, I'm the first person to say this. The Xbox Series X is an amazing piece of hardware. It simply is great. The problem is that people aren't going to be willing to give that a chance if they think that the Xbox is going to become the next Dreamcast or whatever the case may be. I just feel like a lot of people really feel that way, and there's not really much I could do to convince you that it's not the case. It's just honestly Microsoft has kind of fumbled that messaging, and it's something that realistically is I'm not sure can ever kind of come back. So listen, the Xbox Series X and S is now trailing about 20% behind Xbox One in the US. Now, you might go, oh, well, that's not really come as a surprise. Listen, I think it comes as a pretty big surprise because we didn't have, any kind of like when this generation started, we all thought Microsoft was getting it right. You can look back to Phil Spencer's initial kind of meetings and things like that. And his initial email was like, "Hey, we got it right. We've got a more powerful machine. We've got this. We've got that." And at the end of the day, it ended up not being right. And there's for multiple reasons. Like, okay, so Microsoft really wasted time for blades, and they put stuff into cloud gaming instead of selling the consoles like they should have. They didn't really prepare some exclusive games or anything like that like they should have done. There's a lot of things that they really kind of dragged ass on, and that's unfortunate. But for me anyway, I look at this thing and I go, well, things could always be different. I don't know, but for me, just looking at this it's very not good news, right? I mean, how do you fall behind? If you guys remember, the Xbox One was absolutely hated on for numerous reasons. I think probably the number one reason being that it tried to like take gamers' rights and things like that. Again, it's really, I think, pushing it to kind of understand where these things kind of come from or whatever. But for me, when I'm looking at this and I'm just going, okay, well, how in the world can Microsoft get out of this situation? So it's a mixed picture for video game consoles in the United States. The PlayStation 5 is outpacing its predecessor, the PS4, but the Series X and S is lagging far behind the Xbox One, according to the most recent data from Circana, which is, used to be NPD. After each platform's first 52 months in the market, PS5 sales exceed PS4 by 7%, by Series X and S now combined almost trails Xbox One by almost 20%. As positive as the picture is for Sony's effort in the US, especially as it comes without a PS5 price cut, it's yet more depressing news for Microsoft. This new series consoles have for some time struggled for sales globally, and Microsoft has admitted it lost the so-called console war a long time ago in the face of competition from PlayStation and even the Nintendo Switch. Microsoft, of course, takes a bigger picture view when it comes to determining the success of the gaming business. It looks to PC as a major growth area, is pushing its subscription service Game Pass across multiple devices, and is launching many of its Xbox games on rival consoles in a bid to boost its bottom lines. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, for example, will hit PS5 soon, as will Forza Horizon 5. Doom: The Dark Ages, meanwhile, set to launch on PS5 at the same time as Xbox in May. There have been questions over whether Microsoft might call it a day for Xbox consoles as a result of the failure of the Xbox Series X and S, but the company was recently reported to have greenlit a next-gen release for 2027, as well as an Xbox handheld during the same year. The console is reportedly a premium successor to the Series X, and alongside a first-party Xbox gaming handheld and new controller, will allegedly round out Microsoft's console offering in 2027. Now, Windows Central reported that the next-gen Xbox will be more like a PC than any Xbox before. It'll support third-party storefronts. Supposedly, continued backwards compatibility is a given. Although, how can you have, backwards compatibility when you have like for which store for, I don't know. The whole thing's kind of a mess right now. Last year, Xbox president Sarah T-Mobile Bond said Microsoft was moving full speed ahead on their next generation hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation. Now, a lot of people really look at that news and they go, "Oh, really? You know, their largest technological leap ever. You know, what a great thing, etc., etc." I think the real problem is that Microsoft might have something a little bit different in terms of what that means, right? To them, it's probably something AI backed. You know, is it going to be something that realistically changes, you know, gaming, you know, for the long term or whatever? I think that's going to be kind of a big question. I think some people looked at it as, oh, biggest leap, you know, we're going to get some kind of huge thing. Like, we're on the diminishing returns when it comes to, you know, a lot of these things, you know, like, I'm just being honest with you, right? It's kind of diminished returns because we're basically there. Like, things aren't looking that much, but like a lot of people will be like, oh man, would you look at how great this game looks? You know what I mean? Look at this next gen game. And, you know, a lot of the times these games just aren't looking, you know, that much better. So, you know, again, we'll see if this is something that can continue to change or whatever, or continue to pay attention to. It's like, I don't understand personally how the console realistically let's just be honest about it, right? Xbox One tried to steal people's rights as gamers and still did better than Series X and S. Like, how does that even happen? How can that be a thing? I don't know. It's crazy to me how this is kind of happening. There's a lot of speculation around the future of consoles generally. As mentioned, Series X and S are floundering. Sony has suggested PS5 is approaching the second half of its life, while Nintendo is set to launch Switch 2 later this year. There's growing concern, obviously, that traditional game consoles business could be under threat. But again, if you look at PlayStation 5 outpacing the PS4, Switch 2, there's a lot of hope for that, you know, doing well. And the Switch has done, you know, incredibly well, over 150 million units. The only one really failing is Xbox. And, you know, again, they are their own worst enemy when it comes to this stuff, you know, because let's just be real, they're the ones saying stuff like, hey, you know, our console is, you know, you don't buy our console, and they're putting their exclusives everywhere. So, you know, that's a really bad situation. Phil Spencer has said in interviews the console business has failed to grow meaningfully in recent years, offering a sizable but static customer base that is increasingly playing a handful of enormous games and leaving little room for everything else. Last year, former Xbox executive Peter Moore told IGN that Microsoft had been discussing whether consoles have a future. According to Circana's data, console sales are in a slump right now. February video game hardware spending fell by 25% when compared to a year ago. PS5 was once again the best-selling hardware option for the month across both units and dollars. Series ranked second in both measures. Accessory spending in February declined, blah, blah, blah. The industry overall is having a particularly tough time. February 2025 projected consumer spending across video game hardware, content, and accessories declined. Video game content spending specifically fell 4%, etc., etc. So, you know, again, there's hope that things will improve this year. Obviously, the Switch 2 could be the biggest console launch of all time. That's like what that's what's getting reported. And there's the looming behemoth of Grand Theft Auto 6, which is set to release date later this year, which could be a huge jump, kind of punch in the arm. Listen, I don't think consoles are in any danger of going anywhere. I think Microsoft has really kind of hampered any chance they had at doing well in the console space, and, you know, that's unfortunate. But I still think that, you know, consoles are very much, you know, going to play a huge part in what people want to do and what they're going to play and stuff like that. So, like, for me anyway, I'm kind of looking at this and I'm saying, you know, listen, Microsoft has dropped the ball themselves, and, you know, again, they have nobody to blame but themselves, you know, so people aren't going to want to go out and game and buy an Xbox if there's not a specific reason to own an Xbox. And that's just honestly the God's honest truth. There's no way to really damage control that, right? Like, people want to play video games, they like consoles, but then they're like, oh, well, you know, we don't want to play on a console or spend our money on a console that isn't going to be around long term, and that's understandable. I'll link this. What do you guys think, man? 20% worse than Xbox One that literally tried to steal gamers' rights. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.